Hi, this is Sally with Marmy Quilting, and today we're going to be working on our Bloom Where Mew or Planted block of the month, and we are working on month 4, which is the foundation paper piecing Meow and Buzz. So I have gotten all of my pieces cut, and the instructions for that are very clear, so you won't have any problem there. So one word to the wise on the cutting for the foundation paper piecing. For fabric 5, we are using a directional fabric. So that does affect your cutting just a little bit, not a lot, not anything to get excited and worried about. There's plenty of fabric in there, you're not going to have any problems. But for fabric 5, you're going to be sewing that into a W and into a B. So keep in mind when you're cutting those pieces that you want the W vertical, okay? So cut your pieces that way. And then when it comes to the B, the side of the B is going to be cut vertical, and the only thing that's going to be cut sideways or across grain are going to be the 4 pieces where the B comes out. Okay, so everything else will be cut vertical, so just keep that in mind when you're cutting. Now I have gone ahead and sewn the middle section of the M, and then later we will add pieces onto this, the side pieces, and that is just regular piecing. But this particular piece was foundation paper pieced, and you can see my foundation paper is still attached to the back here. And I actually colored this in. That was one of the suggestions in her instructions. And then after it was all pieced, I cut it out on the dotted lines, leaving the paper attached, and I will sew that together to the other pieces with the paper still attached, and I'll remove the paper later. So I'm going to show you though, we're going to do together piecing the W block, which has more pieces. It's not necessarily more complicated, it just has more pieces to it, but the concept is very similar for the center of the M block, okay? And I just want to go over this with you. I won't be doing the whole block in a video, but just this letter, because once you master this technique, you'll be able to complete the full words Meow and Buzz. Okay, so we've got a little bit different camera angle now. I'm hoping to be able to show you what I'm doing and go back and forth between the machine to be able to do that. So things that you will need, I have some flathead pins, I have a quick quarter ruler. This is called I'm sorry, not a quick quarter, an add a quarter ruler, and this is not mandatory, but it really helps. It has a raised edge here on the back on 1/4 of an inch, and I'll show you how to use that as we get started, but that is a very handy thing for foundation paper piecing. I also have our photocopy of the letter W, and I have cut that out on the dotted line, and when I copied that, I made sure that I used a 1-to-1 scale, so it hasn't changed in size any. All right, I have my cut pieces, which for the letter W, there's 2 slanted pieces and 2, well, they're more slanted toward the middle, and then 2 lesser slanted going up and down, so they are slightly different sizes, and the longer pieces will be in the middle and the shorter ones will be here. For the background, we have 1 piece that will be number 1 down here, and 2 of these, which will be 4 and 5, and 2 of these strips, which will be 8 and 9 out here. Okay, so the way foundation paper piecing works is you're stitching it following the pattern on the paper. You're actually stitching on the paper. here. So I have my sewing machine here, and I have set the stitch length on to mine to 1.5. Now in the instructions for this pattern she recommended 1.6. Mine didn't have a 1.6 setting, so I just went down a little bit to the 1.5. And so now it's time to get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and make some folds on these lines, and I'm going to start with number 1 between 1 and 2, which is right here, 1 and 2. I don't know if you can see these numbers, 1, 2, and that's the order that we're going to be adding the pieces, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so we're just building out from the middle on this. So I'm going to go ahead and pre-fold on the lines, and I'm not going to keep it folded. I'm just going to put a crease in there. That was between 1 and 2. Now between 2 and 3, I'm going to fold that all the way. Now there's a crease in the paper there. So between, after 3 comes 4. We're going to go right here. Put that crease in. And then number 5. I'm making sure to be very careful on those lines to fold that, just to give that crease to help us later. You'll see why. So that was number 5. Now number 6. It's okay if you go past the fold a little bit. It's all right. I mean, the 6 goes the full length here. Some of them stop shorter, but if your fold line goes farther, that's fine. So now 7. And 8. And 9. Now, so when I'm working with fabrics, I already have my crease lines there, and it's just going to be a lot easier. I can iron this fabric flat, but I don't think I need to. I think it'll be good. All right, so now we're starting in the center, which is the background, number 1, which is the background. And what we want to do is we want to put the fabric behind it, but we don't want it to be facing right side facing. We want it to be right side facing out. Okay, so underneath this section, right side facing out. Okay, now I'm going to make sure that this first piece has plenty of room all around section 1. Like if I fold this back and look, I will see that there's plenty of room, and at least 1/4 of an inch all the way around on that fabric behind there. Okay, so that's placement on number 1. So now we're going to look at placing number 2, and I'm keeping these together. I'm not going to pin it just yet. I'll pin it when I add fabric 2, but right now I am keeping them together. Now number 2 is Z here, and it's slightly longer. I have 2 different sizes. There's 2 of each of these. So the longer piece that we have pre-cut, we want to add this. Also, this is directional, so keep that in mind that this has an up and a down. You want your little flowers growing up, and we are making the W here, so we want them going up this way. And fully behind and all the way around, at least in 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And then the number 2 fabric, which is this pink, I'm looking at this, and this can be a little bit confusing, but just bear with me. Once you get going, it's not that hard. But I'm gonna hold this up to the light. I've got this in position. And can you see the light in the window? The pink is over the line between the 1 and the 2 behind it. It's also right sides together. On the back side, I'm holding this as I'm moving it around. On the back side, the right sides are together. I've also got, this is a W, remember it's a W, so this is, the flowers on the fabric are pointing up, and I'm gonna stitch on that line. So now the reason I know this is gonna work is if I were to fold that pink fabric back on the line, it's going to completely cover the area on the front where we have number 2, which is right there, okay? And you can kind of see it sticking back. So let me go back here. I might have to line that up because I made it a little bit loose, but I've got my, showing it up to the light. I'm working in front of a window because that helps. And I'm gonna go ahead and pin this. Now, I'm pinning on the paper side, but then I'm gonna flip it over, or excuse me, I'm pinning on the back side, and then I'm gonna flip it over and sew on the paper side. But that's why you need a flathead pin. There you go. So now I've got it pinned together, and my 2 pieces of fabric are right where I want them. And I can just double check here. Yeah, I've got at least 1/4 of an inch back there. And I'm gonna go over to the sewing machine, and I'm gonna start about 1/4 of an inch. Again, I have my stitch length shortened. I'm gonna start about 1/4 of an inch before the number 2 line, and I'm gonna stitch to about 1/4 of an inch past it. Okay, that's been stitched. You can see that line there. I'll take that pin out. Now we're gonna fold the paper back, and that's why we pre-folded the paper. When you pre-fold the paper, it helps you to be able to fold it now that it's time to cut it. And this is where the add 1/4 ruler comes into play. We put that on there and we butt that bumpy side up to the paper on the back, and then we cut off the seam allowance. And then we open it back, and on this side, which is now the right side, remember we're doing everything in reverse, then we're gonna open this out. Now I have a dry iron sitting beside me over here just out of the camera range, but I'm gonna hit that side with the fabric with an iron real quick and get that pressed. So now that's pressed and ready to go, and we can turn it back over and look at that. Okay, where are we going next? We are doing the second inside vertical piece, and it's number 3. So it's gonna be coming right here, and we're gonna be stitching this long line between here and here. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold this up to the light. We're gonna put our right side of our fabric behind it. And there you go. Can you see that behind the light? Where the fabric is overextending on both ends, and there's at least, let me move, oops, I dropped it. There's at least 1/4 of an inch. I think it's showing through on the light pretty well. Hopefully you can see that. So now I'm gonna once again pin it, holding everything in position. I want to make sure that I'm pinning not on the seam line that I'm going to be stitching on. And I'm going to take this over to the machine and stitch that long seam, start to finish. Once again, about 1/4 of an inch before to 1/4 of an inch after. And we're stitching right on the line. Now, if you end up doing this a tiny bit backwards and something doesn't work, you can take your stitches out and do it again. The paper can be used more than once. You can recut the fabric if you need to. You probably wouldn't need to, but just in case, it's always a good idea before you trim the fabric to just like, does everything look right back here? Okay, yeah, there's my middle. Actually, it goes this way. My middle of my W, all right? So I know it's gonna be good. So I'm gonna come up here, I'm gonna fold on that pre-creased line over, once again, my add a quarter ruler, bump it up to that, folded paper, and cut. I'm at slightly an odd angle here, so have to stand up to do that. All right, so now open it back out, go to this side, open it back out. I can use my fingernail to do a quick finger press, but I do prefer pressing it. I just want everything to be really nice and flat. So once again, from the fabric side, I'm pressing it. Okay, so let's flip it over. That's the beginnings of this block. Now that was number 3. So now we have to add number 4, which number 4 is AA over here on the background pieces, and that is this 2.5 by 4.5 inch piece. All right, so now we've got to add number 4. Once again, I'm gonna hold up my piece to the light. It's really nice that I have this window here, and you might wanna figure out, you know, you can use a light board. A window really does help though, if you have a window nearby. So, as the layers get thicker, it's a little harder to see, but I am trying to make sure that I have a 1/4 inch over this line between 2 and 4, and enough that if I do it on that line, that it will cover all of this section 4 here. That looks pretty good to me, all right? I think I will pin from the top here. I was pinning from the back, but I think it will be easier to pin from the top because I can see. I just need to make sure I'm catching the fabric and I'm not going in the line. So I'm going to now stitch this line from here to here. Okay, let's see if this looks good. Take out my pin, fold this back, and also I can check this side, and it's going to open out. I'm just going to create that, well, it's up here, but it's going to create that section up there. So it looks good on from the back, and which is really the front. It's also confusing, foundation. So now fold that back. You know when you confuse yourself? Okay, so back to here. There we go. Open it out. Finger press and take to the iron. right, we're just gonna keep going and we're gonna end up with a W. So it might look a little weird at this stage, but that's okay, just hang in there. As long as you're covering the pieces that you're supposed to have covered on the back. All right, so that was number 4. Now we're jumping over to number 5, which is the same size white background fabric. So, and I'm going to look it up, put it up by the light. I hope you can see the light shining through on that. I can see I've got the pink back there and the white, so I'm not sure if you can see that, but I'm making sure that I'm overlapping that line by at least 1/4 of an inch, so I have something to trim off. But if I fold that out, it's going to cover that area number 5, okay? And you don't have to use pins, but your fabric might slip on you if you don't, so you could try it either way. Okay, take that out, flip it over, check it, it looks good. Now I'm going to bring this over, fold it on the line, put my ruler on. The white's back there, you can't see it, but they're both there. Trim that, open it out, finger press it, and now press with the iron. We're working with steam, we're working with a dry iron. You do not want to use steam. You don't want to get your paper wet. So, we wouldn't. Also, these are, it's good to leave the paper on when you get through to assemble it to the other blocks so that it doesn't stretch out of shape and get wonky on you. All right, so that was number 5. We're over here on number 6, which is another one of our vertical pink pieces. All right, so looking at that, they're going up this way. This again is the W, so it's gonna be like this. So this is gonna be like that, but I've got to turn it over, right? So now looking at between 5 and, oh, I'm on the wrong side, sorry. Number 6, it gets reversed when you flip it over, so that can be confusing. Just look at the paper and follow the numbers. So now I'm lining up my pink behind 1/4 of an inch over, approximately, over that line. And if I fold that back, you're gonna see my W, and you're gonna see that my flowers are going the right direction. So there it is. You can see that. And I'm gonna pin this in place. Let's see, I'm stitching this line, so I don't want to get too close to it. And I may just go ahead and put a second pin in this because I'm stitching all the way from here down to there. So let me put another pin down here. There we go. So I did get a little too close to my pin there, and it made my stitching go out of the line, which I don't like. So the good news is I can fix that without even having to take that out. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and take that pin out, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch on that line on that little spot where I went off. Okay, that's better, and I need to be more careful about those pins and not putting them. The flat part is good, and you're supposed to be able to put them on either side and sew with them, but they're not invisible, and they will, if they hit your presser foot, they will create a problem. All right, so let's take that out. Let's chuck it. Look at the back that it opens out, and it looks, oh yeah, it's starting to look like a W, isn't it? Isn't that cool? Yeah, it's starting to do that. All right, so from up front, we're going to fold that paper back. We've got multiple pieces underneath here from prior pieces. The one that we just sewed on is back here, but we've got another piece crossing over there. I'm going to butt that up to the paper. Make sure my crease is right. Okay. Open it out. Press with our fingernail to open out that seam, and then take it to the iron. Our W is really coming along. It looks great. Coming. Okay, so that was number 6. And now we're going to add number 7, which is the other upright of the W over here. Checking my orientation on my flowers, they're going the right direction. Get my piece in position here. And I want to add it right here. So I want here, I'm sorry, I dropped my pink. So I want it to be, see if you could see that. The pink is behind it, and it's over that 7 line from top to bottom. And when I stitch that on and fold it out, I'll have that W shape, right? Okay. So let me go ahead and pin that. And again, this time I want to make sure I'm getting through both fabrics, but do not get let's see. I was looking at the number 9 line. Ha 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 ha. Let's make sure I get the right line. Okay, so we're actually doing not this long one, but between 5 and 7 right here. And I better line that up right. That is, it's easy to make a mistake, and I'm really kind of glad that happened on camera. It'll help you not to do it when it'll make you more aware when you're doing it. So now I'm looking at the right line, and I've got my fabric lined up top to bottom. I'm going to stitch that long thing, and now that actually looks a little bit better when you open that out. So that is better. So pinning it this time, I want to stay well away to where my presser foot does not hit the head of that pin. Again, I'm stitching this long line right here. Okay, now we're going to stitch. It's important that you're stitching a 1/4 inch past the seam to start in the seam. especially on these long seams, that you're carrying the seam out all the way into the seam allowance in those cases. All right, so I've got that stitched. Before we cut anything, we'll check the back, we'll open it out. Oh, we have a W, yay, it works. Okay, so we'll go back to the front or the paper side, fold this back on the crease. Always pick up that ruler backwards. There it is. Come to this side, fingernail press it, and press with an iron. Okay, we have a W. The only thing we're lacking now is these outer pieces, and then we will trim the whole thing to this block size, all right? And it'll be perfect. It'll be absolutely perfect. Okay, so this is starting to get fun and exciting and not scary at all. So now we've got 2 more pieces to add. Let me flip it back over to the paper side, and we're gonna do number 8 now, which is one of these pieces. We're putting the background on, and I'm gonna lift it up, hold it up to my light, and my light is fading because it's about, well, it's about 5:30 as I'm recording this right now. So it's fading, but so this is, in my opinion, this is a daytime sewing project, because you need the window and the light behind it. You need the backlight. So I've got that. I've got the right sides together. If I open it out, that's what it's gonna look like. That looks good. I'm gonna pin it. Again, I'm stitching on this long line here, so put my pins where they catch the fabric. Ouch, caught me. And do not get too close to my presser foot. Okay, there we go. Okay, take the pins out. Always before you cut, check it out. Go to the back and open it out and see that it looks like it's supposed to look, and that looks good to me. So now we'll go back to the paper side, fold the paper back. Use our add a quarter ruler. Fold it to the front, press it with your fingernail, and press with an iron. That is so cute. It is turning so cute. I love it. I love it. It's adorable. Okay, flipping back to this side, we have number 9. Last one, last piece. This is so fun. It's exciting. Seeing it come together, because, you know, it's just a bunch of strips and then it starts to come together and it's like, wow, that's a W. That's great. All right, and this quilt is so cute. I really loved making it. I hope you have too. Let's see. I think I'm pretty good right there. And, oh, guess what I did? Look at there. I've got my fabric facing wrong side to the right side, so I've got to flip that over and reposition that. Always flip it to the back and check it. It's another good thing that I made that mistake so that you can avoid it. You've got to flip it to the back and look and see what you're doing. Okay, I don't know, the light is fading, but I can see that I've got the white piece behind the pink in a good position. And now when I'm looking at the back, I've got the right sides together, and when I open that out, it's going to be the edge of my block. So I'm going to come back up here and put a pin in. Now I'm stitching this time on this long line here. So did I just move that? I think I did. All this flipping back and forth. Let me see if I can fix that. Okay, that's better. So I think I've decided I like to pin from the front because I do not want to have my pin in the wrong position and I can't see where to put it on the back. And that was our last piece. Let's see if I did it right. Take off the pins, flip it over. Ooh, that's gonna be great. Okay, so now put it back, fold the paper, use my add a quarter ruler to bump it on the fold, cut that off, open it back out, flip it over, use my fingernail and press with an iron. That is so cute. Now it's still a little crazy looking because we haven't trimmed it, but we're going to turn it to the paper side with everything pressed nice and neat. And I'm going to use a different ruler and trim that up. Now I'm not trimming on this line, that's the sewing line. I'm trimming out here on the dotted line, which is your 1/4 inch. You're basically trimming it to your 1/4 inch seam allowance. Cutting through a lot of thicknesses there, so I might need to give myself a new rotary blade here. I'm basically putting the 1/4 inch line of my ruler on the seam line, and that way I'm cutting it, I know, at exactly the right seam allowance. Flip that over, and there it is. Oh, voila! Oh, there's a little piece of fabric there. Okay, so there's a W. And the rest of them are going to go together pretty easily. The Z blocks only have 3 pieces. So you've got a center piece, a diagonal, and then 2 pieces going on the top and the bottom. So that one's going to be a lot easier, but it's also the same foundation. But you're doing 2 Z's because you're doing buzz, but but the only ones you're doing foundation paper piecing on is the W, the center of the M, because now this is a block that you can just stitch the outer pieces of the M on, and the O and the E are just regular pieced blocks for meow, and then the B and the U for buzz are regular piece blocks. So just, I'm not going to make a video on that particular piecing, just for the foundation paper piecing. So I've still got the 2 Z blocks to make, but I think with that video you'll be good to go. And let me know if you have any problems. I hope this goes great for you. Okay, here we are the next evening. I continued to work yesterday and made all the individual letters, and I came back this evening and put them together. So here's Meow. It's so cute. I love how it turned out. And the way it alternates heights, that's in the pattern. It's just kind of a cute arrangement. And of course this is a capital, but then these are lowercase letters. And then here's the other one. We have Buzz, and it came out great too. And they also are doing the alternating heights. And I will say this, the Z's that only had 3 parts in the center, the diagonal and then the 2 pieces on either side, that's the foundation paper piecing part, and then you add the top and the bottom and the sides and make your block. I will say this, the pieces that she had you cut for these parts, the background part, I made a mistake on both of them, and I'm kind of gonna get it up here to where you can see it. Do you see this extra little seam right here? That is because when I turned over my paper, the way I had positioned the fabric, I had a piece that was not covered by my fabric. So be really careful when you're making those Z's that this does not happen to you. And of course, I didn't take it apart and repiece it. You can see what I did. I just opened it up and added a little piece of fabric there so go on. But dang, if I didn't do it on the other one also. I was trying to be careful, and I did it on this one too. So I'm definitely by no means a foundation paper piecing expert, and I will honestly say when you're working with diagonal and odd shaped spaces, it can be really tricky, and it's just going to take a while to get the hang of it. Next month, for month 5, we will also be doing foundation paper piecing, but not the lettering. We'll be doing these neat suns. Let's see if I can grab the pattern here. So on the front here, do you see these suns up in the corner and then down here? And then this is the pattern. So it's curved piecing, and let's see, do we have some foundation paper? Yeah, I think we do. Maybe not. Oh yeah, we do. Yep. The rays of the sun, that's foundation paper piece. So we will be doing that this month for month 5. So that will kind of give us some more practice with our FPP, and this, as you know, is told about this quilt, is this is a skill building block of the month. So we're trying new things, we're learning, and we're growing, and I'm so glad that you're joining me for this. I'm having a ball, and I love these. I love how they turned out. Even with my little problems that I had, I'm super happy with how they look, and it's going to be a fantastic quilt. So that's it for month 4. Good luck. I hope you do great.